Yo, welcome to Hard Pass. I am your host, Jacques Slade. It's the show that just heard that Supreme was on one yet again right before we started recording, so we'll get into that in a little bit. By the way, did anybody catch Tennessee Titans coach Mike Vrabel's war room during the NFL draft? He had one of his kids dressed like Frozone and another one like Joe's Dirt's long-lost son. Like, look, I'm a 49ers fan through and through, but I respect any father's ability to turn his kids into a meme without irony. Well done, coach. Let's start with some hot takes on the season finale of Full Size Run. Shout out to the crew over there. And don't forget to catch the episode that I was on. Nick Young, well, he claimed that he was responsible for Kanye West designing the shoe that will become the Yeezy Quantum because according to Swaggy, Ye was inspired when he saw Swag wear the 750s on the court.
I sparked the Yeezy basketball shoes. You're responsible?
Let's talk about
he went crazy. He was like,
about
oh, you see how I'm doing this? Nick wore my shoes on the court. I need to be everything. I need my own. He going crazy. I need my own basketball shoes. Next thing you know, hey man, Yeezy owe me some money, man. I'm telling you.
I mean, it's a bit of a stretch, but I'm going to let this slide in these quarantine times. Anything that gets Swag out there telling these stories and more about the days with Gilbert Arenas in Washington, I am all for it. He could come on Hard Pass next week and tell me that Kobe lit his Yeezys on fire after the game, and I believe him. In fact, I'd be surprised if Kobe didn't set them on fire. Last week, we talked about StockX adding a 3% fee to buyers in an effort to adapt to the changing times and provide the best possible service to our millions of customers in 197 countries and territories around the world. Well, apparently, providing the best possible service means they'll have to lay off 12% of their staff. Look, businesses have to make tough decisions right now, and I understand. I just hope we don't get a headline next week that they got the Ruth Chris treatment because, you know, a small business that treats customers in 197 countries is really struggling out there. Rob Gronkowski is now a member of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Yes, I said Tampa because it's annoying to the one Bucs fan I know that lives in Los Angeles, so I'm just going to annoy him and say it out loud like a true friend would. Anyways, Gronk will hopefully also be defending his WWE 24/7, 24/7, 48/7, 7-Eleven television European Championship this coming season that he won this year at WrestleMania. Yes, that's the thing that actually happened because 2020 is just the year of whatever, anything's possible, I guess. Kinda hope the Bucks play the Patriots this year and Bill Belichick tries to steal the title. It would be great. Speaking of the NFL, if you had the Green Bay Packers will draft a young quarterback in the first round to threaten Aaron Rodgers 15 years after the Packers drafted a young Aaron Rodgers in the first round to threaten Brett Favre on your bingo card, congratulations to you. Thankfully, the second part of that bingo space doesn't include the 49ers toiling in mediocrity because we drafted Alex Smith instead of Rodgers, even though Smith ended up becoming a decent quarterback for us, just not Aaron freaking Rodgers good. And it also meant we got Colin Kaepernick, so really it wasn't all that bad. But again, it wasn't Rodgers, so there's still part of me to this day that wonders what if part this time around, you know, if that can fit on your bingo card. By the way, before we move on to the next segment, I just want to give a shout out to this brave soul who finally said this thing that we've been all thinking about but never really knew the words to articulate those thoughts until now. Bless you, Eli the cutie pie. I too wonder about the oppressive tyranny of bolding the first lines of notes too. Like, why, Apple? Why do you hate us so much and force us to hit return one more time than we have to? I just don't get it. Okay, it's been a few weeks now since we were all able to go out and have a good time at the club or any kind of social gathering. Personally, I've come to appreciate the joys of Zoom and FaceTime and Viber from my Filipino friends so I can still see what they're up to. And one of the things we like to talk about in those sessions are Versus series of battles on Instagram Live. If you don't know, Versus pits two prominent names in the music industry to battle it out to see who has a better catalog of hits. We've seen some epic showdowns between DJ Premier and RZA, Swiss Beats and Timbaland, and more. We've always seen some epic fails thanks to production mishaps and dudes who clearly have no idea how to use social media in 2020. Sorry, Teddy Riley. But it's all part of our effort to keep us from being bored out of our minds. We are going to the extreme to search for new content, whether it's athletes getting into gaming, the NBA trying to create the worst possible game of horse, or finding ways to boo Roger Goodell virtually during the NFL draft. Amazing, folks. We're just trying to amuse ourselves, man. So, here are some ideas I have for potential versus matchups in the future. Music versus, let's say Kanye West versus Pharrell. Now, this one is easy because of the shared history between the two artists, and anything that gets me closer to a Child Rebel Soldier reunion with Lupe Fiasco is something that I'm all for. But really, I know old Kanye's catalog like the back of my hand, and Pharrell with the Neptunes defined my college days. I just want to know who's going to claim number one, a song they both worked on. That was my jam to my girl at the time. What? It sounded real good then, as long as she didn't pay attention to the lyrics. Come on, people. Sneaker versus LeBron James versus Penny Hardaway. Now, Complex has been running a series of sneaker battles between influencers and staff members, and even NBA sneakerheads like Langston Galloway. But the realest sneaker battle would have to be between the two Nike athletes that I feel are the closest to Michael Jordan's spot as the top of the mountain, LeBron and Penny. The collection of exclusives, samples, and one-offs that these two have would be enough content to power a sneaker blog for months. And let's be honest, any battle with MJ would be akin to The Rock laying down the smackdown on Jabroni. Sure, you'd love to see it for a few minutes, but if the other side can't put up a fight, it's not really all that fun. Promo versus The Rock versus Triple H. Speaking of The Rock, we've seen him tease a potential Legends matchup with the old rival Triple H several times over the past few years, and recently he posted a touching message congratulating the game on his 25th anniversary with WWE. But with even WrestleMania next year in Los Angeles up in the air at the moment, we can settle for a battle of promo skills.
Plays crazy. Yeah, and I beat you right in the middle, and then, you know what? I mean, it was phenomenal.
But I think he cheated. But I do remember the following week on SmackDown, remember that when I rock bottomed your ass almost through the ring?
Oh, yeah.
Since both superstars were just as good on the mic as they were in the ring, 30 minutes of smack talk between these two where they just trade one-liners will get all of the Attitude Era fans in their nostalgic feels for sure. Talking head versus Draymond Green versus Charles Barkley. On the latest All the Smoke podcast with Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson, guest Draymond Green had a lot to say about, well, everything. Kevin Durant, Tom Izzo, Steve Kerr, Steph, Clay, all got some level of smoke. But while most people will pay attention to his KD rant, I personally love his epic takedown of Charles Barkley, one of the most beloved commentators on sports TV today, and honestly, a certified hater.
Charles Barkley has kind of had this beef with me since I started coming up. You know what I'm saying? Since I started coming up in this league, it's always him throwing a shot. And for years, I didn't respond, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, whatever, you know, Charles Barkley's a great player. Like, I'm not going to respond, whatever. Honestly, it's jealousy. You know what I'm saying? It's jealousy that somebody the same size as him or smaller could come in the league and have the success I had.
Since we have a lot of free time right now, an IG live session where they either hammer out their differences or set up a date to fight each other once the pandemic calms down would be must-see IGTV for me. All right. And then the breaking the internet versus Mariah Carey versus Beyonce. Want to see Instagram crash? Have these two go at it. The competing stands on both sides would be crazy in the comment section. It's popcorn-worthy theater at its finest. I'm sure there are some boy band equivalent nowadays that would likely be crazier, but I'm going with two artists that I actually know would actually watch. So let's move on to the Heat Check. This is your guide to all of this week's top sneaker releases. First up, we have the Air Jordan 1 Mid Nike Hoops. Those are on the 30th for $125. Not always the biggest fan of the mids, as you can guess from my past Hard Pass episodes, but there's something about these mismatching pairs that's kind of appealing. Like, if these were somehow tied to the Wimbledon tennis tournament instead of basketball, I would be all in on these since they share the same colors. Next up, we have the Nike Zoom Freak 1 Pumping Iron. These are May 1st for $100. If you've been hanging around NBA Twitter, you've no doubt seen the pictures and videos of Giannis Antetokounmpo working out and building his body into, well, the freak of nature that he is today. This sneaker is about that journey, although I wish it had more Arnold Schwarzenegger references since it's called Pumping Iron. Y'all Giannis, pumping iron now. Get to the chopper. Hasta la vista. You know, I'm sorry. I had to do it. It was the easy one. Then we have the Air Jordan 5 Fire Red. These are on May 2nd for $200. After a shock drop on sneakers during the first two episodes of The Last Dance documentary, we got a proper release this weekend. I wonder if all the people who wanted the shoe at the time already got their fix and these will end up being widely available. And of course, there's the whole $200 price tag that's hard to ignore. And then my pick of the week is the Travis Scott Nike Air Max 270 React Cactus Trails. These are on May 1st for $170. No surprise here as Travis continues his hot streak of collaborations with Nike. The Nike Air Max 270 has been the people's sneaker for a while now, and this will no doubt breathe even more life and hype into this model. I can't say if I like these more than his Jordan collabs, but it is certainly an interesting take for sure. And now for this week's Hard Pass, where we take a look at something in the culture that just needs to go, like Supreme dropping a shirt for COVID-19 relief and then treating it like any other Supreme drop, meaning they were in limited numbers and they sold out in seconds and then resold on GOAT and StockX. This isn't just a Supreme problem, mind you. I've never been a fan of limited edition anything when proceeds go to charity. But because it's Supreme, more people are going to pay attention. The only ones who got relief from this are Supreme, you know, the small business that they are, and the resellers looking to make a quick buck before someone notices and prohibits their sales on eBay like the jerks who hoarded all the toilet paper. The sad part is that this won't even hurt Supreme's credibility and force them to do better next time. Fans, hypebeasts, resellers are just gonna line up for the next drop and act like we weren't so offended. But for any other brand out there that might be watching this and are sitting on a super hyped collaboration, want to do something good for the community and garner some free publicity, here's some advice. No, you don't have to make them super limited or super easy to get, but what you can do is put up a time limit on orders. Let anybody who wants a shirt or sneaker or toy or whatever be able to buy within the time window. For example, the Supreme shirt could have been available for 6 hours and they would have accepted all orders, whether it was 100 or 100,000 or even 100 million. Explain to the public that they will get their item once all orders have been processed and in the order that it was received. The more orders, the longer the wait, but hey, everybody got their $60 box logo shirt and a chunk of it went to a good cause. I think most people would be okay with that and it would destroy the notion that Supreme doesn't care, but nah. They'd rather you think they don't care and take your money and give a pittance of it to a good cause. Nobody cried for Supreme for this one because they deserve all the smoke and they deserve the hard pass for this one. Anyways, I know that felt like it was his own hard pass segment, but I just kind of had to get that out there because we're recording this just as the shirt went live and everybody started complaining on Twitter. So this week's actual hard pass goes to the legendary Nike Air Force One. Okay, not so much the Air Force One, but rather the drama surrounding the Air Force One and who made it popular, all because of a quote from A$AP Rocky 5 years ago. Yes, quarantine has made us all so bored that we are digging up quotes from 2015 to get us all mad in 2020. Think about where you were in late April 2015. I was checking out the Nike Women's Training Club tour when they shut down a massive part of Los Angeles and threw a large party to celebrate, well, busting your ass and challenging yourself to be better. I wouldn't say those were simpler times because I can still feel the soreness after all of those workouts, but they were definitely simpler than right now. Meanwhile, the biggest sneakers to drop that month were the Air Jordan 11 Low Georgetown and the Nike Kyrie 1 Infrared, and the hype train for the adidas Yeezy Boost 350 Turtle Dove was starting to build momentum. And again, because it's quarantine and I have the time to search through my own archive, I was unboxing Kmart Jordans for a video. It was a different time, I tell you. So, now that I have you back in 2015, Rocky was invited to the Oxford Union to talk about a variety of topics, including his music, his political views, and his approach to the business of being, well, ASAP. It should be noted that his invite stems from backlash the union got for holding a debate a few weeks earlier about reparations and the British Empire, where they posted a flyer featuring a cocktail called the Colonial Comeback with a picture of a black person in shackles. Not great, Oxford. Not great at all. So, during his hour-long talk, Rocky was talking about his fashion choices, the brands he has collaborated with, and his role as a trendsetter. In 2011, he viewed the Air Force One as whack sneakers, so he purposely wore them to test his reach and to see if others would start wearing them again. In his mind, the great comeback of the Air Force One was because of his influence. When he started to see fans and his contemporaries started rocking the shoe, it was confirmation to him of the sway he had over the culture. He stopped wearing the kicks in 2013, I guess to prove a point that he was done with them since he thought they were whack in the first place. But since the 2015 Oxford talk, he's been pictured rocking some notable high-profile Air Force One collaborations from V-Lone and Cactus Plant Flea Market. I guess Rocky never quit those whack sneakers. Again, it's crazy that this clip was trending on sneaker Twitter because of its age, but the younger generation who saw it thought that it was actually accurate. In their views, Rocky's role in popularizing the Air Force One was huge. He was the catalyst that led to the Air Force One becoming a more visible silhouette in Nike's arsenal during the later part of the 2010s, fans, getting high-profile collabs with Riccardo Tisci, dropping an Ultra Flyknit version that is arguably one of the most comfortable shoes I've ever worn, and creating a whole new lane with their Special Forces line. But that didn't sit well with the older sneakerheads who seem to remember a certain rapper out of St. Louis who was a fan of the Air Force Ones and created a song and an iconic video about the kicks that many still quote to this day when they say, "Give me 2 pair." The argument wasn't that Nelly and the St. Lunatics Air Force Ones made the shoe popular in the early 2000s, but rather the shoe was already popular and they were just giving them their props. If anything, the joke is that the song opened the lane for all sorts of custom Air Force Ones with Louis Vuitton prints and other luxury trappings that were far from official but looked cool at the time. The debate didn't stop there, however, because the generation before Nelly was arguing that Air Force Ones, or Uptowns as they are called by New Yorkers, never left. Since they debuted in 1982, they have been a constant on the feet of the old heads, and to them, nothing tops the feeling of a fresh, new, crisp, white-on-white pair. Honestly, I'm surprised the generation before the old heads haven't popped up to say, "Back in my day, sonny, we walked to school in snow for 5 miles in real shoes like Pumas and shell toes." It's an argument that doesn't really have a winner because Air Force One is on the same level as the Air Jordan 1 and Dunks. They are timeless designs with long histories behind them. There will be times when people won't care for them, and there will be times when people will clamor for them. It can be one person or one song or one event that sparks the trend, but it can also be a group or an entire movement. The real winners here aren't the people arguing in the replies. It's the sneakerheads who get to see their favorite kicks in bold new colorways and remastered OGs yet again. Yeah, I can't wait 10 years from now when another artist breathes life back into the wax sneaker that is the Air Force One, and the kids today will become the old heads and say, well, actually, I guess the real hard pass should probably go to the phrase, well, actually, because it never ends well. Don't be that person, guys. All right, that's gonna do it for the show. Thank you guys for watching Hard Pass. I am Jacques Slade. I'll see you next week, but not before I show you a real American hero. Marshawn Lynch handing out face masks on a buggy. Stay safe. Peace.
Marshawn out here for the people, man. Look, you gave us some beast mode masks.
All right, appreciate you, son.